So it's 2021 and you're a bit of an idiot and you decide to start buying Super Nintendo games. Now, box copies cost an absolute fortune today. None of them are worth the prices that they're going for. That's just my opinion, but I think that's a matter of fact. There's some expensive games out there that really shouldn't be that expensive. Even your more common ones now will set you back a few quid. That said, cartridge only, a lot cheaper. So thought you've got 100 quid to blow. Here's 10 Super Nintendo games, really good ones at that I think anyway, that you're going to get some good value out of. Cartridge only, mind. This is just going off eBay July 2021 prices, but everything, including postage, under a tenner each. First off, absolute classic, bit of an obvious one, Starwing, Star Fox. What more can you say about it? Quintessential shooter on the system. It plays a little bit slow nowadays. That said, still a very, very, very good game. It's just a fun shooter. There's a lot to do on it, lots of different paths, lots of different sort of time trials to go through, see how fast you can get the game done. The difficult levels are really still quite difficult. There's a good challenge there, especially for the cheap price. Next up, we have Kid Clown. Not a lot of people talk about it. It is a very good game. It's a really common one too. Again, under a tenner. It's a endless sort of runner game where the bomb goes off and you have to stop it. You have to collect the 4 playing card types, otherwise you keep having to repeat the level over and over and over again. So it's a bit about memory as well, but half the fun and charm is finding little ways that Kid Clown will explode or get damaged, or his little death sort of animations. Really fun, really funny, really good game. You can get it for peanuts. So we've got one purely for soundtrack alone, more than anything else. You've got Pluck. It's actually a decent platform game as well. Made music by Tim Follin, legendary Tim Follin, so he deserves a bit of respect for that one. The game itself really, really suckers you in, so it's fairly straightforward platformer game. Little Pluck, he's missing his flag, someone's nicked it. You have to go get it, so you go level to level to level to level to find it, only for it to get progressively more difficult. There is a steep learning curve on that one, so just be aware. The first couple of levels, you just breeze through them, throwing your limbs, a lot like Rayman sort of took that mantle. But once you get a bit further in, there's different levels, like you have to kill a certain amount of fleas, a certain amount of enemies. It gets really challenging, can get a bit cryptic in places, but it's very, very much worth the money. One of the launch titles, hard to say no to it really, Pilotwings. So what hasn't already been said about one of the Super Nintendo's more famous games? For just simple fun, it's worth the entrance fee alone, and it's one you can just come back to time and time again. You've got 20 minutes to blow. You can breeze through a couple of stages of the Pilotwings in 20 minutes, or not if you get stuck on one of the little tricky ones, like the jetpack one always got me, and some of the harder playing levels where it demands you to be that little bit more accurate. Now that England definitely didn't win the Euros, ISS, this one is just absolute pennies. You can get FIFA as well. That said, it's not as good. It's not as good as the Mega Drive version. Sorry, Super Nintendo, but ISS is where it's at with this one. It's a phenomenal football game. It's only peaked by the deluxe version, which you can get a bit more expensive, but for this purpose, staying under £100 and 10 games, we're going with ISS. Another very early Super Nintendo game, SimCity. If you want a game under a tenner that will last forever, that's the one to go for. Pure, unadulterated fun, city building, and it's got a bit of Nintendo charm in it with the little characters, Dr. White running around. You can release Bowser as your kaiju monster as well, if you want to set off some disasters. But that game, for presentation, for music, just for absolute fun, one of the best games here out of the whole bunch. Moving on, bit of a cheat one, this one. We have got Super Bomberman 2, but this is the Japanese version. The English versions are massively overpriced. They cost a lot of money to get. Even cart only, but the box versions especially, guilty of being overpriced on these ones. The Japanese versions, they're all in English, and they're all 1/10 of the price. The only caveat is, like I said, a bit of a cheat. You do need the Japanese adapter for your Super Nintendo, which that might cost you more than a tenner. But for that, I left it in as a bonus, so I've got another game to add. Definitely worth it, though. Everybody likes Desert Strike, Jungle Strike, Urban Strike, not so much. Here we have got Desert Fighter, one of the last sort of System 3 games. They didn't foray that much into Super Nintendo, but it's Desert Strike on Sonic speed. You're a jet fighter blowing up things in the Gulf. It's the same as Desert Strike, but faster paced. Every time you try and do a lap, you can also leave the stage. You've got a set amount of sort of in-game hours to defeat each stage, blowing up different targets and things. But that one you can leave to sort of refuel, get more ammo, things like that, but it gives you a time penalty and it scores you each time you do it. So there's quite a bit of strategy involved. It's a very, very good game. No one talks about it either, actually, so it deserves a bit of a shout.
Here is an announcement. The Super Nintendo system is now available with 4 Super Mario games on 1 cartridge.
I mean, it's just typical. You can never find a plumber when you need one, then 4 come along at once.
Super Mario All-Stars, an infuriating, innovative Nintendo.
Now, this is a bit of a left field one. It's another very early Nintendo game, Vegas Stakes, so purely casino gambler. However, it has characters in it and things that can happen, events that randomly happen, like someone will mooch up to you and say, "Oh, I'm skint, do you want to buy my lottery ticket?" You might win, you might not, you might get mugged, you might lose your wallet. You can move to different casinos, different casinos have different amounts that you can gamble and spend. So the whole idea is just to make money. It's purely a casino gambler, but it's so cheap, and it's a little bit quirky, it's a little bit weird, definitely worth getting. We've got a couple left, so another one of the best ones for last. It is a generic one, but you can't deny it. F-Zero. So get in your super speeder, off you go, do your races. Futuristic Racer. I don't think anyone watching this video hasn't played it before, but considering it's one of the Super Nintendo's best games, it's also one of the cheapest. If you're going to go for a racing game, I've tried to pick different sort of genres on different types, different things, rather than just lump them all in together with the same ones. This is the definitive racing game for under a tenner. If you do want a Mario Kart sort of game on the cheap, Street Racer. It is hard as balls, but it is a decent racing game. Just needs more practice than Mario Kart. That one does not forgive you. F-Zero does forgive you a little bit. It does give you a bit of scope on difficulty curve, but it will punish you later on. Finally, I thought I'd stick a Disney game in there, because Disney games, they are very common, also pretty quality on 16 bits, but they do tend to be quite pricey. Here we have, surprise entry, Aladdin. You can get it under a tenner. There's one on eBay at the moment for under that. People argue that the Mega Drive game is better. Personally, I prefer the Super Nintendo one purely because it just has a bit more of a cartoon feel to it. The camera doesn't go mental either like the Mega Drive one, but they're both very good games, don't get me wrong. Either one, especially the Aladdin on the Mega Drive, is super cheap because it's their best-selling game, I think. Is it outside of Sonic's? Don't quote me on that. You can probably quote me on that. But Aladdin on the Super Nintendo as well, it's really good. A proper Capcom game as well. Capcom did a few good Disney games like your Goof Troop as well. But this one, very good. So that's it for your £100. You've got some very, well, I think very good games. Let me know what you can find. Let me know what you've got for the cheap. There are sort of one-off bargains that you can find, but all these ones listed, you can find multiple different ones on eBay, just off eBay, where they cost 10 or under, including postage, which I think is an absolute bargain. Rather than just spend £100 on sort of 1.5 Super Nintendo games, you know, there's a Metroid going for a few hundred at the minute. It's not worth it. I would recommend just getting a Super Nintendo Mini, stick a load of ROMs on it. I'm absolutely advocating emulation on this one. If you can't afford the games and they're priced out of your range, then download them, stick them on a Mini, and have a great time. It doesn't matter to me how you play your games, so long as you enjoy yourself. The problem with it is Nintendo themselves. If licensing aside, if they were to put their entire back catalogue that they could, as well as some of the licensed stuff that they've got hold of, don't just mean the sort of Switch online sort of set of games, which is a good start, don't get me wrong, but if they priced them all, this is same with Sega actually, scumbags, with your pricing, if you just charged all these games £2 a go, £2 a go, you'd make a mint. A million people would buy Super Mario World for £2. Rather than sort of $6.99, $7.99. I've not done my prices, so I couldn't tell you how much it costs. £2, million people, £2 million. Pays for your next indie game, Nintendo, that you want to make. You could reinvest that money back into smaller projects. You'd make more money selling them at £2 a go than you would at £6.50. Promise you, guarantee you. But because you don't put your games on, and you're notoriously bad for releasing your games, your older back catalogue, not a problem for me. Download them, have fun, you enjoy yourselves. They're not worth the hundreds of pounds that people are making them up on eBay or getting them graded and then thinking they're worth £1,000. They're not. But if you can't afford it and you want a different way of just playing some games and having some fun, SNES Mini, emulate them, enjoy yourself. They look good on your TV as well. Right, well, hope you've enjoyed that, and I'll see you soon.